Coming up on Smart Tech today, Matthew Casanelli and I start out the show with some stuff about Google. That's right, there is Google news even on Apple's WWDC day. Before we dig into the updates you need to know for all the things involving smart tech and the home that Apple had to announce, we round things out with our picks of the week, which include a way to control your home from a dashboard and a very expensive but very futuristic window dressing option from Matthew. Be sure to check out this episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. Smart Tech Today is brought to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? Well, LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether they're working in the office or remote. Visit LastPass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Casper. Casper is a sleep brand that makes expertly designed products to help you get your best rest one night at a time. Get $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/STT and using the promo code STT at checkout. And by Mint Mobile. They provide the same premium network coverage you're used to, but at a fraction of the cost because everything is online. Mint Mobile makes it easy to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan, and you can get the plan shipped to your door for free at mintmobile.com/STT. Welcome back to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, the dynamic, and the sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I am Micah Sargent.
And I am Matthew Casanelli.
Yes, you are.
Yep. And I'm actually excited today because there's a bunch of shortcuts, updates, and HomeKit goodness and all that from WWDC, which is a nice, at least positive, nerdy thing for us to distract ourselves with for a bit. So I've been excited about all the updates, and I'm excited to tell you guys about some later on.
Yeah. But first, we will take a moment to talk about some of the other stuff that exists out there before we dive headfirst into the magic of the Worldwide Developers Conference, including some updates to the Assistant Snapshot. So, it's a Snapshot feed. Essentially, it is the new version of Google Now. So if you've ever used an Android device, you are likely familiar with the Google Now interface. It was a way to hop in and see information about any number of things. It would tell you, the weather for the day. It would talk about some news that you might want to know. It would say, hey, you've got a bill coming up. Hey, there's a ticket in here for an upcoming concert. We don't do that anymore, but at that point we did. And that's been replaced by Google Assistant's Snapshot feed. So same thing with a new name, which is very Google. And you can now count on having podcasts and recipes as part of the Snapshot.
Yeah, that's neat. It's just like another, for me, it's always similar to Siri shortcuts and suggestions type of things, but it is good to see this. And especially I love that these are automatic, and basically the same thing works depending on what app you use. So it's regardless of which podcast app you use, they can still kind of use this interface. So I look forward to seeing them expand this more. Competition in the assistant space is always good. And these things do need to get more proactive for us because there's tons that you can request of it, but it knowing what you want at the right time is what is really gives the utility.
Yeah, I think that that's sort of what drives home the usefulness of this stuff. And it was, something, or not even something that was, but something that continues to be features that I'm looking for whenever it comes to this stuff. I want stuff to be proactive, and I want it to figure out what I want before I want it based on how I have done activities in the past. And I like the idea of being able to use to have recipes recommended to me based on my dietary restrictions, or based on what groceries I have at any given time, I think that would be really cool. So no matter what assistant happens to be doing it would be good.
We have been like seeing over time, Google's been adding one by one more and more categories into the like what's capable with Google Assistant. And not all of them even have like immediate long lists of products that actually even use it, but it's that capability is getting more and more there. So that would be like, oh, here's what you have in the fridge and stuff would be neat to see fleshed out a little bit more. That's still one thing I always want my like ultimate nerd system, especially with shortcut stuff, is just like, oh, like here's I've already logged all the food I have in my fridge and have it automatically just be like, suggest this based off of the current settings. But that's all upfront too. So a little bit more difficult. Google can figure that out for me.
Up next, Google Maps has a gaming solution that's now available to everyone. So this feature, of course, was sort of developer focused before it became available to everybody, but it is now going to roll out, it seems, to be able to be used by non-exclusive developers. So if you have wanted to take advantage of the Maps platform, but up to this point, we're not one of these kind of blessed developers, then you can do so using this sort of quick start guide, I guess is the best way to put it. In fact, they say you can get started on it in minutes, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to include this one because I thought it's very cool just seeing the type of Pokemon Go functionality type stuff that we had seen that was like so brand new when that app first came out, and now it can be used for a lot more simple purposes, I'd say, without requiring like a massive multiplayer online game. Like that seems to be a big like drive for those types of things, but they had simple ones like bird watching things or stuff that uses the location information in a different way. So I hope we do see more apps like this in the future, just because I still find the like taking your phone out into the real world and using your location stuff to be a lot more interesting than just some sort of like static AR type games. I think that is where hopefully we can see this used a lot more. But yeah. Cool future tech as usual.
Speaking of sort of technology that one can use and sort of can be disseminated and you can build stuff off of. God, that was the worst segue. I'm just going to hop right into it and say I am not surprised to see that Uber is looking to diversify. But that's a given. Not as many people are hailing rides, and people are playing it safe, which I think is a good thing, which results in lost money for Uber. But Uber is getting into the software business, and one of the ways that it's doing so is by selling its ride-hailing stuff to other platforms, and so that includes public transit. And so, I mean, this is smart to me. Starbucks is another company that is well known for having excellent software for specific systems and making those available to other companies, either via its own sort of Starbucks head, or I think it was this show that we talked about it. Starbucks purchased the smart automated food system platform, and I can't think of the company now, but you had mentioned it, and they also did the same thing. So this is, if you've got technology that works well and you're looking for ways to make money, then I think this makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's like, I think in the exact same, pretty much that's why I put these two next to each other. It's like the same vein of Uber has the same type of technology that can do the ride hailing type thing. And I just think it's like, it is a shame, unfortunately, that it takes like major downturns and things like that for companies to make their technology businesses have a fiduciary duty to make money for their shareholders and things like that, but also making this technology available and sort of like democratizing the ecosystem, I think is what is really powerful about this type of technology. This is a sort of random rant, but I remember when the Verge first launched, they all talked about their CMS, which is the content management system for running their website. And I was like, awesome, I want to use that because that sounds really cool and good. And it's like, oh, this is our proprietary thing we're going to keep to ourselves for only our teams. And that's just like ultimately disappointing with technologies. Like, I always want technology to be available to the most amount of people in the most useful ways. And I feel like this is like another realm where somebody who was keeping something that is like their best in class technology to themselves is now sharing it with the world, which is cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. And then let's talk about sports ball. This is, I think we all wondered how sports was going to get back to usual, I guess, back to what we would expect. And so one of those ways is by having NBA players wear a smart ring. Thank you for that. That was a fantastic transition for those who are listening. A basketball just flew across the screen. So how do you get the NBA season restarted? And what do you do? Well, apparently you give them a smart ring that will help them to keep track of COVID-19 symptoms and provide sort of advanced warning. And what smart ring might this be, Matthew Casanelli?
I knew you were going to make me pronounce it. Oura?
Oura.
Oura? Is that how you say it? I've never said
Oura.
that out loud, I think. Or maybe we did before, but I probably said it wrong as usual. But I mean, we had seen, ring. We had seen the initial tests about this a while ago, and a lot of companies have been pursuing this, which we'll also get momentarily because of WWDC type stuff. But the NBA is, I mean, I honestly, to be fair, they might have new headlines since then because it's been all over the place. And as we mentioned, we're not exactly sports dudes, but it is just like interesting to see a major corporation type thing adopting this and implementing it, because it's kind of like, at least you have something to do. It can help. And at least like the 3 days in advance with 90% accuracy thing could save those 3 days of exposure throughout the NBA. So it is fascinating to see Oura, like Oura?
Yeah, like an aura around you.
Aura.
Yeah, just don't look at
Oura,
the word. Or
yeah, but I think it'll be interesting to see this play out.
Absolutely. Well, that's kind of a pun there you got.
Yeah, I guess I don't also want to see it play out poorly. So
yeah, they're a little expensive. So I think that people are
the
kind
NBA
of
can afford it.
Absolutely. But I think that people are kind of reasonably annoyed by the fact that this group of folks who are out there to move around a ball inflated with air are getting the support financially that maybe it would be cool if we focused on other folks who are out there risking their lives, to save other people's lives. But that's a conversation for, I don't know, a different podcast, I guess. And where else do we talk about it? Here is a good place to talk about it. So I understand that sort of clapback of and disagreement about, or not disagreement, but just sort of all around icky feeling. That said, there's a lot of money in the NBA, and so they can afford to make these purchases given that.
Yeah, it is like, I don't exactly want to argue for the opposite of like, at least you're not.
Right, yeah.
The healthcare workers aren't like having a failing system either, but I don't want it to fail on NBA players. It's not like every life is equal. So
Right, exactly. Okay, well, actually, I think we'll take a quick break because we've got a lot to talk about with the Apple stuff that was announced. So I would love to tell you all, oh no, I'm going to talk to you about my Casper mattress, and then I'm going to wish I was laying on my Casper mattress. Casper is bringing you today's episode of Smart Tech Today, and by golly, do I love them. They're an online retailer of premium mattresses available for a fraction of the cost. Products are cleverly designed to mimic human curves, providing supportive comfort for all kinds of bodies. Look, you spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, and some of us spend even more than that, maybe me, who knows. So you should be comfortable. Absolutely, you should be comfortable. The original Casper mattress, it combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with the right amount of both sink and bounce. Its breathable design helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. And Casper has some other mattresses available as well. The Wave, the Essential, and the Hybrid. The Wave features a patent-pending premium support system to mirror the natural shape of your body. The Essential has a streamlined design at a price that's not going to keep you up at night. And the Hybrid combines the pressure relief of the award-winning foam with durable yet gentle springs. That's right. And Casper has a wide array of other products like pillows and sheets to ensure an overall better sleep experience. I love my Casper mattress. I wish I was there right now. No, I kid. But it is such a comfortable sleeping surface, and it has changed the way that I sleep, and I'm so happy to have it. If you are curious about how you're going to get a mattress online, what's that all about? Well, don't worry. You can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free sleep on it trial. That means you get to sleep on the mattress for 100 nights before you decide whether it is something you want to keep. And of course, Casper offers free shipping and painless returns to the US and Canada. Get a Casper mattress today. You out there can save $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/STT and using the code STT at checkout. That's $100 off select mattresses by going to casper.com/STT and entering the code STT at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Our thanks to Casper for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. All right, it's that time. Apple had a lot of announcements for, well, all of the operating systems that it has: macOS, tvOS, watchOS, iOS, iPadOS, etc. But with that came some updates to the Home app and to HomeKit in general. And some of those were updates that we had expected for sure. And maybe there was some stuff that we didn't expect. I'm going to talk about a couple of features that I think are interesting. And then, Matthew, if you have some stuff that you want to share with it as well, let's hear it. So first, sure. One of the things that we had heard about before and that did end up coming to the operating system is something called adaptive lighting. And you can think of this kind of as night shift, but for your smart lights. So if you are an iOS user, you're familiar with night shift. It is a setting that takes your display on your iPhone or your iPad or your Mac, and in the daytime, it keeps it normal. But then as the day goes on and the sun starts to set, it takes some of the blue out of the screen and makes the all-around tint of the screen more orange. And the reason behind that is blue light is it can affect your sleep. It can make it harder for you to fall asleep at night. So adaptive lighting is sort of a way to mimic this feature, but even take it a step farther with your smart lights. It will change the color throughout the course of the day and brightness of lights that you choose to make part of the adaptive lighting setup, so that in the morning it starts with some warmer colors to sort of wake you up but not sort of blast your retinas. Then as the day goes on, as you want to focus, it cools those colors down, keeps them nice and bright and cool, kind of like the sun. And then as you wind down at night, it warms those colors up even more and sort of goes into that night shift mode. So this is a really clever feature that can make your environment help to remind you when it's time to go to sleep. And I think that this is a fantastic feature. Another thing that I wanted to mention is the stuff that we had known we could expect from HomeKit Secure Video. So we talked about this a little bit before, but HomeKit Secure Video is Apple's way of providing some of the subscription-based services that other cameras offer, but for free and with a much more private implementation. So with HomeKit Secure Video, your cameras, webcams, smart cams that are HomeKit enabled, can not only record and provide notifications for pets, for cars, and for people, but will also store that information and keep it in a very private system. It does all of the the processing on device and locally. So it's on either the HomePod or the Apple TV that you have set up as your home hub. And then now face recognition is coming to these devices. So you will be able to not only just detect that there is a person, there is an animal, or there is a vehicle, but also if you have identified these people in your Photos app, it will let you know that this person is at your doorbell or is at your home. And
yeah,
then the
that's
same
so
applies.
cool.
Yeah.
Like I love that.
I love this.
That's so Apple and privacy focused, where it's like as you the Photos app automatically detects faces in photos like locally on device. So I guess I'm not exactly sure. I guess it's running it through the your HomeKit hub, but then it's basically just like, oh, I recognize that person from the photo. And the cool thing is, I think the HomePod can say like, oh, Micah's at the door or something like that. So that's just like, oh my God, that's such a cool chain of technology together that I feel like some of the updates these days are like, it's just like, oh, we just our lights just change automatically for us and stuff like that. And it's like, this stuff is mind blowing. So I'm like thrilled to see this kind of thing. I got to get a HomeKit camera to try out that face recognition, because we are like right on a street corner and people walk by all the time. So that's never really been perfect for us.
Yeah. I think this is going to be fantastic. And this also doubles down with what's called activity zones. So,
oh, yeah. Okay. I jumped ahead.
Yeah. And that's just that feature that lets you choose which part of the screen you want to be to have the camera pay attention to. And so this is a great thing because, again, for many cameras, this is a feature that you pay extra for. So to have this available right there on the device is really nice. Those are the things that I kind of wanted to touch on because those were features that maybe we could expect. But what's some of the other stuff that we had announced with HomeKit and the Home app?
I mean, a simple one is really nice. Quality of life type of thing is now the home tiles for your different app or your different products and things like that, or your scenes can be placed into Control Center. And so I'm a bad person. I immediately installed all the betas on my devices. So I've got, they have like a home favorites section, which is cool. So that can just pop up anything you've favorited in the Home app. And then you can add in like your different scenes and products and tap into them to turn them on and stuff like that. So that's super nice. And then I think a major thing is just that they're going to start doing suggested automations where it's like every time you get home, the porch lights can turn on because it can just kind of figure out that that's what you would want. I'm not sure exactly how advanced those are going to be. Like, at least in my experience, suggested shortcuts and different things like that are like just kind of like the handful that you might already think of. So I do hope to see, I hope that's does more advanced things than just like those three, because at least for like the Shortcuts app had a similar, like it can suggest an automation for you, and it only ever did one for me. So it's like, that's nice, but I want it to go beyond that. But then again, perhaps as co-hosts of a podcast about smart tech, maybe we're using this slightly more than the average person.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could be that that's the case. There's a lot that I want to look into, of course, with this Home app stuff to see,
I guess,
like how it works.
I forgot also it's added onto the Apple. It's kind of bolted onto the Apple TV now too, that you can check your HomeKit secure video from Control Center in the Apple TV. So I think Now that I'm thinking of it, I don't remember what the gesture is. I think you double click the home. So I don't remember what it is. I can look it up. But once you invoke the control center on the Apple TV, it can like show you who's at the doorbell when they ring, or actually it'll pop over in picture while you're watching something. So it's like Micah's up at the door, and it's like, quick, turn the volume down and pretend like we're not here. No.
Yes, that is a feature you should definitely add for sure. Interestingly, my Circle camera does not show face recognition features for the for the camera. So I don't know if it's because it is an older Circle camera and not the new Circle View, or what's going on there. But I'll have to look into that for sure to see.
There's another couple things that aren't like totally HomeKit, but I think could be interesting. I did see, I'll find a link for this so we can put it in the show notes, but somebody was talking about the app clips feature that Apple added, where it's sort of like a little way where apps can create, I think it's less than 10 megabytes of data, which is very small, a little way to interact with their app without actually installing it. And first, that just like sounds like shortcuts to me. So I hope we haven't had any of the like actual developer sessions to see the technical details of how these things work. So I can update more later. But I saw somebody say that, especially with like NFC tags and augmented reality, just that app clips are a fascinating kind of like the app in the real world thing, where it's like you get to a parking meter, you don't want to go wait to download the Park Mobile app or whatever it is. So you can just tap the thing and it'll just run the app right away. And I just like think that's a fascinating smart tech thing, because the bringing your device to do something with it in the world is like, they also added your phone can be a smart key, only if you have a BMW Series 5. So we'll get that in like 8 years for regular people, but it's still just like, that's so cool. That stuff is getting neat. Just like walk around and like tap your, like you could have NFC tags for apps that you don't even have installed, and you're just like, I just want to use this one time ever, once a month or something like that. So,
yeah, I think cool. that the app clips feature is fantastic, and its tie-ins with NFC are pretty cool as well. All of those coming together, I think, to make for a better experience there is going to be quite fun. Of course, these are features that are still in beta, and I'm sure that we will continue to see improvements and updates to those things. But some of us want to take the dip a little early and have installed beta versions of the software to see how it works. So I know that's been the case for me for sure. I'm
a guinea pig for sure.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I think that covers it for HomeKit and the Home app with iOS 14, with iPadOS 14. The one thing I'll say is that macOS, it's going to make developers will be able to access HomeKit on the Mac. So other apps besides just the Home app for macOS will be able to then control HomeKit-enabled accessories via the Mac. So that's kind of nice, being able to see that as well. But yeah.
And we'll definitely get more news throughout the week, because they do smaller sessions where it's like there'll be probably, I haven't looked, I guess, but there's probably one or two dedicated just to HomeKit. So that's like the full deets and everything. Do you want to, we should do the hand washing one too, because that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it.
We've been sort of talking about this since the whole lockdown situation began, but Apple Watch is definitely a good tool to be able to detect. I guess we mostly went around the touching your face thing, which is a little like being noted. I think in your experience, it was like, but you can't necessarily be notified every single time, because you kind of lose the
after a while you kind of
of
ignore
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they have a new hand washing feature, which is cool. And I had like a whole shortcut that would like time it or something. But this is now, they can tell based off the accelerometer and the gyroscope data that if you're like washing your hands, that's a pretty specific motion that people have. And they can tell, it's like, okay, and I think it listens for the sound of water and I think they said the squish of soap, which I was like,
yes.
don't say that. Yeah, just hearing like Craig Federighi say squish was just like weird.
Okay, see, I wasn't bothered by it, but now you've made it weird.
Just emphasize it. Yeah, this is weird, and I'll just repeat it over and over again. But it just like starts a 20-second countdown while you're washing your hands, and I think it'll vibrate. I don't know when exactly, but and it'll show it on the face, and then I think if you have the sound off also, it'll make little noises. So just kind of like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to start my hand washing shortcut, which is like, nobody's going to actually do that. It's just like automatically. So I'm actually installing the profile right now on my watch because it's finally working. So maybe I can test that out for next week.
I'm nervous for you.
The watch is the one that's like,
that's the one.
It's just a bad idea.
If you make a boo-boo,
yeah,
you're done if you make a boo-boo until you send it in to get fixed.
I saw somebody else saying it's like, I'm going to be at home anyways. So like all of this stuff it is actually a big deal when you have to like go out to work and your phone dies before the end of the day or something, but when it's all at home.
Okay, well, once you tell me that it is fine and you had it installed just fine, then I will do it too, because I bricked my iPad installing the new version of iPadOS. I had to go into DFU mode and reinstall iOS 13 and then restore to iOS 14. So I was stuck, and I kept trying to restore it with iOS 14, and then it kept saying I can't do that. And then I was like, well, crap, I'll just reinstall iOS 13, and it said I can't do that. And I was doing it via the Mac with Apple Configurator too. So like I was all the way in
like
there.
No chance at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was able to put it into DFU and get it to update. But I was scared there for a second. It did make me nervous.
So far, it's worked on 2 iPads that I have. So
that's good.
Sign, I guess. And it's on my phone. So just a full on diving in there. But it is like, honestly, so far, it's been running fine. And like, I do want to know all about the new shortcuts features because that is my jam, and it pretty much will instantly save me time just updating. So like, I kind of gotta.
Yeah, you got to.
Do you want to talk about shortcuts now, or should we do a break?
We'll talk about shortcuts, then we'll take a break and we'll round things out with our picks of the week.
Sure. All right. First off, we have folders. I have no idea if that's going to be loud. And for anyone who's listening, I just stepped away from the mic and raised my hands in the air because the Shortcuts app now has the ability to sort your shortcuts into folders within the app, which is, if you don't have that many shortcuts, might not seem like that huge of a deal. There is a reason to do it for everybody, but it's pretty amazing for me because I have like 1,000 shortcuts in here, and it's been driving me crazy to organize them all and not actually be able to sort them in the app. The fun thing is that it reversed the order of my shortcuts, so they're all in the wrong order now. But I've already submitted a feedback report to the team, and I feel like I might be doing some more of those this summer. But basically, that means that for anybody who wants to get into shortcuts, you basically don't have to worry about the organization stuff now. You can pick them up and drag them, drop them into folders, and then that way you can sort of have even in your all shortcuts view, it can show you all your folders at once. And the shortcuts app now is built into like a sidebar that shows all of that. There's a lot of sidebars in iPhone and iPad and Mac now that
love their sidebars.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all very unified and clean. That's a big thing, is that I feel like now when you use an iPhone, iPad, or Mac, it will be like all extremely similar looking. And so at least you're not going to get confused going across platforms. And then hopefully stuff that's like kind of hidden before might be more explicit now. But one of the cool reasons to use folders is that in general, iPhone and iPadOS, or iOS, I guess is still technically called for the phone, but they're adopting widgets on the home screens. So iPad still has the same sidebar home screen, but on the phone, you can mix and match them with your apps so that it's like a full-on widget that displays data from the app. But with the Shortcuts app, you can first of all, you can create multiple versions of the widget. And I think almost any app you can do multiple widgets, which is really cool. So like one you want to display a different way or a different location or something like that. But with shortcuts, you can also stack them on top of each other so that you have a stack of your different folders of shortcuts. So like I have 24 folders of shortcuts on my home screen right now. So basically I haven't decided everything and I haven't tested it all, but I'm pretty sure I don't need those anymore. I think I can use this type of thing. And you can do like a just smaller version or a larger version of the widgets, but that's super cool just because I feel like I'm going to have my shortcuts aligned for throughout the day, like morning, all that. And then I just swipe over one when I'm ready. And it's like a new set of shortcuts that are ready for me. So that is very cool. Like that is just the problem even for me personally. I will be much more able to create series of shortcuts and share them with people and not just be like overwhelmed with a list of 1,000 colorful shortcuts. It's like it'll have a sort system now. Yes, I was like, on Twitter. So this is like, I was saying it took me like 100 hours to get it to where it is or more, like over 2.5 weeks of like full-time work. Spread out, but still eventually it was like absolutely that much time. And this should just be way, way easier. Actually, like regular people can keep track of their shortcuts and use them in more interesting ways too, not just organize them. In general, the shortcuts has like a whole new color scheme. So it's a lot brighter. I think one of the criticisms last year was they went from like really bright to too dark. Now it's sort of in the middle, and now it's like, still seems really bright to me just because of the transition. But in a lot of ways, when you run your shortcuts now, all of the menus and things will kind of drop down from the top like a Siri interaction. That's like a major thing that they did is the Siri interface is now just like that little Siri logo ball in the bottom right corner and will just show things on top of your apps. So in a similar way, calls won't take over your screen and all that. So that's just nice alone. But running your shortcuts will now kind of be more like a Siri experience also, regardless of whether you're actually using Siri or just running it from the app. And so I think that will just like make it a little bit more simple. And it's kind of like aligned to where you can run stuff from the widget and it doesn't have to kick open the app there. There's still some improvements I want to see, like shortcuts on the home screen still open the app. And that's actually like, I was totally expecting that to change. So I'm going to be filing some feedback to Apple this summer and probably talking about it publicly because speak to the manager of shortcuts. Oh, that is good. Some other cool stuff. The automations feature got more automatic. And the main way is that time-based automations now work in the background. So you don't have to have an ask before run confirmation, which for a lot of people, they were like, this is dumb. I don't even care about automations. You still can't do it with location or Bluetooth. And I think that's in the same way, security reasons. But being able to just have my shortcuts run in the background for me based on time is like, maybe you can get a lot done there. And then there's new ones for when my battery level is at a certain percentage, and then also whether I'm charging or not. So if you put your phone down on a charger, it could like change the state of your phone or like perform a backup every time or something like that. So there's going to be a lot more opportunities for personal automation of your individual devices. It doesn't actually change much for home automations, so I do want to see more there. But I guess we're kind of figuring it out as we go. But that's cool because it is just like the automations feature will be a lot more usable. Oh yeah, I forgot the big one. And I've done this multiple times today. They brought back shortcuts for Apple Watch. So Workflow had an Apple Watch app. And for me personally, having thousands of shortcuts, it didn't really ever work because it was just trying to like sync my list of shortcuts over. So I think at the time it was kind of like, this isn't going to be able to be fixed. And so they had to sort of re-architect it. And I'm still waiting for the watch update, but I have a feeling the folders thing will be involved also because I don't think I could manage a list of 1,000 shortcuts on my wrist, but swiping through all of my folders really quick makes a lot of sense. I don't want to promise that because I don't know, but I hope so. But that's just very cool because then you can run your shortcuts, pick from lists, and like interact with stuff and do it all without having to speak out loud. Like that's a major thing sometimes for people is just the Siri part of shortcuts isn't their jam, but what workflows were and things like that are. And that even applies to Spotlight now too, which is like just a popover screen instead of like pulling down a panel that kind of changes your context. It's just like a little popover launcher menu like they have on the Mac. And then you can type in your shortcuts, run them from there, and then use the new popover animation stuff there too. So it's like Type to Siri is a major way that people can use HomeKit type automations from their iOS devices without ever actually having even to speak out loud. So it's like you can do it from everywhere now. Like I got everything I wanted. I feel like it still remains to be seen what changes they're doing for like the developer APIs in order to get apps to use Siri shortcuts more or like more functionality in there, because that's, I think, limiting to some developers. And I do want to see home automations be able to run shortcuts more. Even I'm just now connecting some dots of like Apple they're releasing their own silicon for Macs sometime soon, and that does enable iOS apps to run on the Mac, which is a very amazing update.
Just very easily.
They kind of dropped that in there. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So I hope that on some level that means that the type of functionality that Shortcuts provides could be run on any Apple device, regardless of having to, like right now it only runs on iPhone and iPad because it's built for the specific architecture that those run on, and a Mac isn't. I don't know about HomePod, so that's a whole other deal, but I just want those shortcuts to be independent. And it's like right now you can't use home automations. Home automations cannot run a shortcut that's on your phone because the home thing runs on the HomePod, doesn't have apps there. So that's still the case right now. But you can do like cool scripting, like if it's going to be sunny out, change the lights too. But even one of the ones of like, based off of the time of day, due to color temperature, is now automatic. So it's like you don't even have to. So there's still more to do there, but it is like, this is a major, at least for people like me, a quality of life thing. I think it'll make shortcuts just like that much more ready for the mainstream, where some of the little nitpick things aren't like in your way. Another one I forgot, I just noticed multiple windows for shortcuts, so I can put two shortcuts side by side and compare them. And then another thing is you can copy and paste actions from one to the other. So if you make a really good shortcut that's really complicated, you can just take out a step with like your custom list in it and move it somewhere else. So that's been like holding even just people like me back from being able to share shortcuts more easily. So I want to see people creating more shortcuts. If you listen to the show and you have an iPhone or something like that, and you've never created a shortcut, do it once you get on the beta or the public release, because there'll be some fun stuff and even more this week. So I'm excited. I was like freaking out.
That's what I did whenever they announced. I know it's so silly, but I really have been so excited for this name mention notifications on group messages. So we'll have to have a little group. We'll have to test that. Right now, I don't have it set up on my main iPhone, but I think I'm going to do it because I've not run into any issues yet. So clearly there aren't going to be any, right? That's how this works. Yeah. I'm sure my alarm will go off tomorrow morning. It'll be fine.
Just blame it on the beta.
Exactly. I mean, it's not my fault. I'm doing research for work. All very exciting stuff. I like some of the other features, including assigning reminders to other folks. So if you have,
I didn't see that. Family, nice.
Yeah. And then another one I thought was cool is that you can, oh crud, now I'm forgetting what it was. Third-party music streaming on HomePod.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
That's the default.
They haven't really talked about that, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly what that means, but it's kind of implied that Like you'll be able to listen to Spotify on HomePod natively and things like that. And then also on the reminders thing, they updated the shortcuts actions for reminders, so that will interact with all that. Like you can add the URL, the fancy URL display things like that. That we were all missing that last year. Sorry, go on.
Oh, they didn't announce this on stage, but I think it's incredible. It was on the thing behind the stage. You can change on both iPadOS and iOS your default browser and your default mail app.
Yeah. It's like that's the default. I feel like they almost just didn't want to tell people. So
they didn't want to say it.
Yeah, that's like shameful, or I don't know.
Like, fine, we'll do it, but we're not acknowledging that we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we'll do it, but yeah, I'm not saying anything about it. And then I kind of liked and this I feel goes more into the sort of smart side of things. In maps navigation, the Maps app will tell you when a stoplight, a traffic light has a red light camera on it.
Oh,
so
nice.
That way you can be aware of
genius.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they
didn't announce that on stage either, but
yeah, they're like not going to make so you can slow down right before. So you never speed in the first place. That's what everybody does. But yeah, like cycling directions is going to be awesome. They like take you on the proper path. And it was a very San Francisco special part of whether or not you need to take stairs while you have your bike. I was like, that's funny because it probably doesn't apply most places, but there's like those famous steps in the SF. Or it's like, we'll take you can pick paths that aren't as hilly and things like that. So that's all actually going to be very nice. And then get notifications on your watch as you're going along and things like that. There's cool stuff like spatial audio with AirPods. They were talking about how it's also aligned.
This is real. I don't ever believe in spatial audio. I'm really sorry, but I just don't.
I was unimpressed at CES for sure. I was like, it just sounds good, but it could just be good speakers. Like,
I hope that they shock and awe me. I want to be shock and awed. I will be open to being shock and awed. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. This whole like Dolby Atmos in an iPad, I keep wanting to say BS, and I don't know if I can say that, but I just said it. So that BS is frustrating because I just don't think. I don't know.
Why don't you believe, Micah?
Feel real. Exactly. I guess I should be
6 months from now, you're going to be like, oh my God, I finally get it. Nah.
Yeah, when I'm looking at you and moving my head around and you're still making sound from the front of me and not to the left or right.
I could do that
because I have spatial audio on Skype. But I don't know if it's going to happen.
Even just the demo was cool because it like detects which way you're facing based off of the screen. So if the screen's in front of you and you turn your head, it can't, like, if you just did it in a dumb way, the sound would then shift with you and it would not match the TV. So like they can tell which way. And also if you are angling the iPad, so it's like, it's both accounting for the angle of the iPad and the angle of your face towards the screen in order to like map the sound to the space in your ears. And it's like, it's still cool. Like, I don't know whether or not it'll be practical or like, it's only certain movies or something like that get it, but it's still, I'm all about that smart tech.
Same. Okay. Let me take a quick break to tell you about our pals at Mint Mobile, who are bringing you this episode of Smart Tech Today. If you're still using one of the big wireless carriers, I got to tell you, you're doing it wrong. Have you asked yourself what in the world you're paying for? Between expensive retail stores, inflated prices, and hidden fees, you are being taken advantage of because they know you're going to pay. They know I'm going to pay. It's ridiculous. Enter Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile provides the same premium network coverage you're used to, but you get it at a fraction of the cost. Why? Because everything's online. Mint Mobile saves on retail locations and that overhead, and then passes those savings directly to you. I have used Mint Mobile as my method for connecting my iPad to the cellular network. And that has been an incredible experience because oftentimes it means that when I'm in a dead zone with my iPhone, which is on one of the big boy carriers, I can count on my iPad to serve as a mobile hotspot. You get the little Mint SIM, the Fox, you pop that in there and you are good to go. Coverage has been fantastic. I've been able to rely on it. It's been great. And the prices are ridiculously awesome. Mint Mobile makes it so easy to cut your wireless bill down to $15 a month. What? Do you know how much people pay for phone service? $15 a month, that's it with the 3-month introductory plan. Every plan comes with unlimited nationwide talk and text. And with Mint Mobile, you stop paying for unlimited data you're not even going to use. Choose between plans with 3, 8, or 12 gigabytes of 4G LTE data and use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. And don't worry, you can keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ditch your old wireless bill and start saving with Mint Mobile. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month with the 3-month introductory plan and get the plan shipped to your door for free, you go to mintmobile.com/STT. That's mintmobile.com/STT. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month with Mint Mobile's 3-month introductory plan at mintmobile.com/STT. Our thanks to Mint Mobile for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. Alrighty, Matthew. Tell me the ridiculously expensive pick of the week that you have for us.
Yes, I don't necessarily advocate for purchasing these tools from Alibaba, of all places, but it's just a very cool demo that came through this weekend. Phil Letourneau bought switchable film for his front doors. So it's like film that you put over the windows. I actually, in the window behind me, I made my own fake version of this by just laminating pieces of paper, but just to make it so you can't see through the windows. And for me, at least, so light doesn't come through while I'm filming. But this guy, I totally want this in here now because he has a little remote and the windows go from completely clear to frosted glass just by pressing on and off and on and off. It's I was just what is this devilry? You can basically make it so that you can see out or nobody can see in and switch back and forth. And he's I'm going to get it all hooked up to Siri and everything. So it's impressive. It's it is very expensive and it's wiring little stuff in your doorway and then connecting to it. So I don't necessarily think this is a consumer ready application or utilization of smart technology, but we probably got some nerds on here who are willing to do that type of thing. It's I just had no idea that this was technically feasible or a thing ever. So I was just what?
Watching it. Yeah. I didn't know that there was.
Yeah. We close our windows every night to stop because we live right next to neighbors and just see into their kitchen. And I would much rather just be able to be I don't know. I don't know what the terminology is because it's close the window, turn off the window. I don't exactly know what you would say, but it's just just block everything out and don't have to worry about people creeping. So it's impressive stuff.
I want this stuff. I just want it to not cost as much as it does.
Yeah. And if it's $300 on Alibaba, that means it's $500 when it becomes a HomeKit compatible device or something like that. Because in case people don't know, that's a way to get technology products and other goods straight from Chinese manufacturers. So sometimes, or I guess maybe I'm probably combining it with Wish a little bit, but
oh God,
just
Wish.
Ways to kind of they have no brand, no customer support, and it'll take 6 weeks to ship from China all over on a shipping container or something like that. But you can usually get them for pretty cheap because a lot of times brands, sometimes, or not a lot of times, but some brands in the US are licensing this stuff and just you can find it the exact same thing from the manufacturer will sell it to you anyways. But yeah, a little bit more setup there. And this is just a technical achievement of the volume of space that you need for the window. So I think that's where the cost comes in.
Yeah. Like I said, I think this is cool. I would love to have some of it, but I don't want it to cost as much as it does. I would put this everywhere. I'd put it on some stinking sunglasses that were just normal, and then I just hit a little button and they go and they turn dark. That'd be so cool. I would put it everywhere. I want my windows suddenly more tinted in my car.
Yeah, as you drive through that red light that you found on Apple Maps.
Okay, I'm gonna get some switchable film for my license plate. Is that what you see? No, I'm not. That would be wrong. No. Nobody should do that. All right, I'm gonna talk about mine now. This is admittedly an expensive app. It is $12.99, but it is an incredible app for what it does. For $12.99, you get an app. And Kevin, if you can show the iPad screenshots, those ones kind of give a really good, I don't know why they're not, I'm trying to even see them at full zoom and it's not letting me. But anyway, this is there we go. Home Dash's website is a better place to see it. It lets you create custom dashboards for your HomeKit setup. It shows you, you can set it up however you want to. You can show like what doors are unlocked and which ones aren't, the average temperature in a given space. You can do individual scenes and make adjustments to a bunch of lights in a room or the color temperature in a room. You can see what the battery level is for some of the smart home devices that you have. This is a very complex, incredible app for giving you full home control. And if you have like an old iPad that's or an old iPod Touch or something like that you're not using for anything else, to be able to set it up in the space and let it serve, because actually Home Dash has an option to keep the screen on. Nice. And so you can use it to create a whole panel for controlling your HomeKit home. So color, temperature, current consumption of lights in a given space, hue. It does it according to rooms and groups. There's even Home Dash for Apple Watch, although that is more of a control panel, independently rather than being the spot for doing, all of the controls. But this app has so many different options for controlling and viewing the information about your smart home. And I think that's what makes it particularly cool, is that even if it's less about the control, it's like the graphs and things like that you can see to sort of get a summary of your home at any given point. It is a Home Dash, and it is available in the App Store for $12.99, which, yes, on the whole, that sounds like a more pricey app than maybe you're used to. But for, like I said, for what it does, for all of the different features that are available, it's a pretty incredible dashboard application for controlling your smart home. So definitely give that a look if you are looking for this sort of system, to be able to have it available in your home. Yeah,
I want that. That looks good. And also, I'm just imagining now having an open app automation for this, so that when you open this app, I don't know which scene it would run or something, but just that like you could have your like mounting mode or something like that.
Oh yeah,
cool. I like that. I wish I just had tablets everywhere. I wish they were cheap is mostly what it is. But.
Yeah.
That's like my desk most of the time is at least 4 to 5 screens or something like that. But nice. That's cool.
Yep. Alrighty, folks. That brings us to the end of another episode of Smart Tech Today. If you want to send in your questions, your feedback, your thoughts, or whatever it happens to be, it's stt@twit.tv. We record the show live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 2300 UTC. To subscribe to the show, you head to twit.tv/STT, and you can find the show in all of its formats, both audio and video. So if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Pocket Cast, any of those places, you can subscribe to the show in those formats and get it when it comes out. Matthew Casanelli, if folks want to follow you and your work online, where do they go to do that?
You should follow me on YouTube at youtube.com/Matthew Casanelli, because now that this beta is out, I do have to test on what I can publish exactly, but I'm going to be kind of relaunching my channel there, and then also on Twitch at twitch.tv/Matthew Casanelli. I'm going to try to do some like working sessions, and also like I'm bringing in interviews with people and things like that. So I am like going full steam ahead. This is my beginning of the year right now, I'd say. So tons of stuff to talk about.
Very
what about you?
Cool. You can find me online at Micah Sargent on pretty much all of the social things, and then also by heading to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where there are links to all the things I do. I just found a new site creation platform that I'm planning on redoing, chihuahua.coffee, so that it is its own site. Right now, it's a redirect to my main Micah.co website. But I found this great way. So I'm really looking forward to making an adjustment there so that chihuahua.coffee exists on its own and is just a place to link to the different stuff that I do online. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. It is time to say goodnight to your smart assistants.
Good night, everyone.
Check out other shows here on Twit TV, including my show, Hands On Photography. On this show, I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your camera, as well as be a better post processor. So head on over to twit.tv/hop and subscribe now.